Hey, buddy, hit that subscribe. Just a sec for you, but it means the world to me. The man lifted his glass with a smile that looked friendly from a distance, but up close it was sharp, practiced, and cold. To Riley, Walter Harrington said, voice smooth as polished marble. May she finally have a real, stable family. Something she never truly had before. Laughter slid through the ballroom like spilled champagne. Light, careless. The kind people make when they don't want to be uncomfortable for too long. I didn't laugh. My name is Clara Peton, and the man turned to my sisters, wedding into a joke, didn't know he just signed his own collapse. 200 guests. Crystal chandeliers. A glass ceiling reflecting snowy mountains outside. Everything about the room screamed wealth, power, and control. The jazz band kept playing, pretending nothing had cracked. But something had. I felt it the same way you feel a tremor before the ground gives out. Riley sat at the head table in her white gown, smiling too hard. Her fingers twisted the linen napkin like she was holding on to the last solid thing she could find. No one noticed except me. I always noticed. Walter stood tall, gold watch flashing under the lights, soaking in the attention like he owned the air. People like him always think they do. I rose slowly. Chairs scraped. Whispers stalled. Even the band hesitated. Mr. Harrington, I said calmly, my voice carrying farther than I expected. Do you even know what stability actually costs? The room froze. Walter blinked once. His smirk slipped, just a hair, before snapping back into place. Well, he chuckled, looks like the sister has something to say. I smiled, not at him, at Riley. Her eyes widened, fear flashing behind the makeup. I sat back down like nothing happened. He thought it was about pride, about drama. He didn't realize this was about foundation, and his was already cracked. That's when his phone vibrated. He glanced down, irritation flickering across his face. Just one notification. Denver Daily Investigations. Harrington Mining case reopened, the color drained from his skin. My smile didn't grow louder. It grew deeper. Because 20 years ago, the ground collapsed once already, and it buried my parents with it. I was 17 the night the mine caved in. Sirens cut through the snow. Coal dust burned my lungs. They told us everyone was out. They lied. By morning, the headlines called it a natural tremor, a tragic accident. Clean, convenient. But when I walked into Harrington Mining's office days later, grief still raw, I saw the truth sitting right on a desk. Approved for cost reduction. Signed, W. Harrington. That was the day I stopped believing in accidents. Years passed. I built bridges by day, raised my little sister by night. Cheap apartments, instant noodles, big dreams. Riley learned how to hope. I learned how to wait. And now she was marrying his son. She didn't know. Not yet. Across the ballroom, Walter lifted his glass again, tried to recover, pretending the notification meant nothing. But the crack had already spread. And foundations don't forgive shortcuts. As Walter forced a smile back onto his face, I realized something chilling. He hadn't seen the real evidence yet. And when he did, the wedding wouldn't just stop, it would collapse. The applause came late, like the room needed permission to breathe again. Glasses clinked. Conversations restarted. People leaned closer to whisper instead of stare. The band picked up the tempo, desperate to smooth over what just happened. Walter Harrington laughed louder than anyone. That's how men like him survive. Noise charmed distraction. He leaned toward Riley, murmuring something that made her nod, even smile again. But I saw it. Her shoulders were stiff. Her joy had cracked, same as a lie holding this whole night together. I slipped out before dessert. Cold air hit my face like truth always does, sharp and unforgiving. The Harrington estate sat above the valley like it owned the land, all glass walls and vineyard lights. Power likes to sit high, makes the fall feel longer. Behind me, footsteps crunched on gravel. Hey, wait! Derek. He shoved his hands into his coat pockets, eyes darting back toward the glowing mansion. My dad's rough around the edges, he said carefully. He didn't mean it like that. I turned to him slowly. You ever been underground, Derek? He frowned. What? In a mine. No windows. No air. Just beams holding thousands of tons of earth above your head. I held his gaze. You trust those beams with your life. He swallowed. I guess. I nodded. So did my parents. I walked away before he could answer. That night, I didn't sleep. I never do when the past starts breathing again. My apartment was quiet, except for the hum of my laptop. Blueprints filled the screen. Old site maps, inspection reports, safety reviews that were never followed up. Harrington Mining logos stamped across everything like signatures on death certificates. Then my phone buzzed. Riley, Claire, Derek proposed. You'll love his family. My jaw tightened until it hurt. She had no idea she was marrying into the same name that signed off on cutting corners, the same pen stroke that decided my parents were replaceable. I didn't reply. 2 days later, I sat across from Walter Harrington himself. Lunch was at his private club. All dark wood, leather chairs, and quiet deals happening behind polite smiles. He studied me like a spreadsheet, value assessed, risks noted. So, he said, swirling his wine, you're a civil engineer. You build things that don't fall apart in theory. I met his eyes. They only collapse when someone removes the support. The air shifted. He smiled again, thinner this time. Careful. People who dig too deep usually get buried. Behind him hung a framed family photo, Walter, his wife, Derek. And in the background, clear as day, the mountain ridge where the mine had collapsed. He'd hung it like a trophy. Back home, I found what I'd been expecting. An email. No sender. No greeting. Just an attachment. Rocky Ridge Extension. Site report. I opened it. Load-bearing walls weakened. Reinforcement skipped. Approval sign-off early. W. Harrington. Again. My hands shook, not from fear, but from confirmation. I forwarded the file to Lennox, the investigative journalist, who never let things go once he smelled blood. His reply came fast. If this is real, it's not negligence. It's homicide. That afternoon, Riley called me crying. Why are reporters asking questions about Derek's dad? She snapped. Why are you doing this to us? I'm not doing anything to you, I said quietly. I'm stopping him from doing it again. You're obsessed, she said. You can't let the past die. I closed my eyes. The past didn't die, Riley. It just learned how to hide better. She hung up. That night, an envelope slid under my door. Inside was a map, another news site. Red circles marked danger zones. At the bottom, one sentence written in shaky ink. He's cutting corners again. I spread everything across my desk. Blueprints, emails, bank transfers, names connected by thin red lines. It wasn't chaos anymore. It was a pattern. And patterns don't lie. Somewhere across town, Walter Harrington slept easy, convinced his money could still hold the ground together. He didn't know the supports were already gone to I traced the final red line on the map. My phone lit up with one message from Lennox. Follow the money. And that's when I realized he didn't just build mines on hollow ground. He built my sister's future there too. Money doesn't disappear. It just learns how to wear different clothes. That's what Lennox told me once, back when he still believed truth alone scared powerful people. Now he knew better. Truth only works when you prove it can't be buried. I sat at my desk long past midnight. The city outside my window blurred by rain and neon. Bank statements cover my screen. Environmental funds, safety grants, community repair budgets. All the things Harrington Mining bragged about in press releases. On paper, it looked clean. Underneath, rot. $3.2 million vanished over 5 years. Split into neat transfers. Shell companies. Offshore accounts. Always routed through one final name before disappearing completely. Clara Peton. My breath caught. Riley. I slammed my laptop shut like it might bite me. He didn't just steal money. He didn't just kill miners. He dragged my sister into it without her even knowing, used her name like a shield. If this exploded publicly, it wouldn't just bury him. It would bury her too. My phone buzzed. Lennox, you seeing this? He's laundering through family. Probably to keep it clean. Clean. That word almost made me laugh. I stared at the framed photo of our parents on my desk. Their smiles were frozen, unaware of the math that would one day decide their fate. They died for $3 million. I whispered. That's what our lives were worth. The next morning, Riley showed up unannounced. She stood in my doorway, twisting her engagement ring like it didn't belong to her. Derek says his dad's under investigation, she said. He says it's nothing, just rumors. I stepped aside, letting her in. You need to stop, she continued, voice shaking. Whatever you're doing, it's hurting people. I pulled out my laptop and turned it toward her. This is your name, I said gently. These are accounts opened without your consent. She stared, her face drained of color. That's fake, she said. It has to be. I wish it was. She backed away like the screen was radioactive. He wouldn't do that. Derek wouldn't let him. Derek doesn't know, I said, and your future father-in-law is betting you never find out. She left without another word. Silence settled into my apartment like dust after a collapse. That evening, Lennox called again. Someone tipped him off. He said, he's scrambling. Lawyers, audits, the whole show. Good, I replied. Let him dig. 2 hours later, I found proof he was already striking back. A legal notice hit my inbox. Cease and desist. Threats wrapped in polite language. Accusations of defamation. He wanted me scared. Instead, I felt focused. I marked stress points on the blueprints with red ink. Weak beams. Unreinforced joints. Every decision he'd rushed to save money. Below it all, I wrote one set of initials. WH. A week before the wedding, Derek came to see me. He didn't knock. Just stood there, eyes red, jaw tight. If you know something about my father, he said, you owe it to Riley to tell me. I studied him for a long moment. Would you marry someone, I asked, if you knew their fortune was built on graves? He didn't answer. That night, Riley called again. Softer this time. Broken. He's paying for everything, she said. The wedding, the honeymoon, all of it. He's buying silence, I replied. The line went dead. Snow started falling outside. Slow, heavy flakes, covering everything like nothing bad had ever happened here. I texted Lennox one final message before midnight. Wedding day. During the toast. His response came back instantly. That's bold. So is killing miners to boost profit. I muttered. I opened my father's old toolbox and pulled out his drafting pencil, worn smooth from years of honest work. I set it beside the evidence pile like a promise. This wasn't revenge. This was structural correction. And when the ground finally gave way, everyone standing on it would have to choose, fall with him or step away. As snow buried the city outside, my phone buzzed one last time, an anonymous message with a single sentence. He knows you're moving. Power doesn't panic right away. First, it tests how far it can push. The morning after the anonymous message, I woke up to my bank account frozen. No warning, no explanation, just a bland notification telling me my funds were under temporary review. Harrington Mining moved fast when it wanted to choke someone. By noon, my work badge stopped opening doors. By evening, a black SUV sat across the street from my apartment, engine idling like it had nowhere better to be. Walter Harrington wasn't hiding anymore. Lennox called, voice tight. He's leaning on everyone connected to you. Old coworkers, professors, even your landlord. Good, I said. Means he's scared. Or he's about to get dangerous. That night, my doorbell rang. Derek. He looked wrecked, tie loosened, knuckles red like he'd punched a wall and lost. He stepped inside without waiting for an invitation. My father used Riley's name. He said flatly, I found the transfers. I didn't speak. He forged signatures. Derek continued. Mine, too. The silence between us thickened. He said it was for protection. Derek laughed bitterly. Said families share burdens. I handed him a folder. This is the rest, I said. If you stay silent, you're complicit. If you speak, everything changes. He stared at it like it weighed 100 pounds. I need time, he whispered. You don't have much, I replied. After he left, I noticed something off. My apartment door was unlocked. Nothing was missing, but someone had been inside. On my desk, my neatly stacked evidence was rearranged. Not stolen, just touched. A message. I can reach you. I packed a go bag that night. Laptop, drives, documents, my father's pencil. Riley didn't answer my calls. The next morning, she showed up instead. Her eyes were swollen. "Dad says you're trying to destroy us," she said. "He says you're sick." I flinched at the word. "He says the money was meant to protect me," she continued, "that you're twisting things." I took her hands. "Riley, look at me. Would I ever lie about Mom and Dad?" Her lips trembled. "He says if you don't stop," she whispered, "he'll make sure you never work again." I swallowed. "Then he still doesn't get it." She pulled away. "I don't recognize you anymore," she said. The door closed behind her with a soft click that somehow hurt worse than shouting. That evening, Lennox sent an emergency alert. He sold the timeline. Someone leaked the story early. My stomach dropped. "That blows the surprise," I muttered. "Worse," Lennox said. "If it breaks now, he controls the narrative." I stared at the wedding invitation on my counter. Gold ink, perfect edges, lies baked into the paper. "Then we move it up," I said. "He won't expect that." Silence. During the rehearsal dinner, Lennox said slowly. "No," I replied. During the toast. Just earlier. We reset everything. I erased files, shifted servers, sent decoys. That night, Walter called me directly. "You think you're clever," he said, voice calm, dangerous. "But foundations don't just collapse. They crush everyone standing nearby." "Then step away," I said. He laughed. "Including your sister." The line went dead. I sat there staring at my phone, hands shaking, not with fear, but with fury. I wrote one sentence in my journal. "Justice always breaks something." Outside, lightning split the sky. Thunder rattled the windows like the earth clearing its throat. Somewhere across town, Walter Harrington was preparing to raise a glass and remind the world who owned the ground. He had no idea the supports were already gone. The morning sun hit my window like it knew nothing about the chaos waiting outside. But I did. Every beam of light fell sharp, exposing the fragile line I was walking. One wrong move, and it wouldn't just be my world. Riley's would crumble too. I started by checking the accounts again. Whoever was moving money around was fast, but patterns are hard to hide completely. And patterns? I know how to read them. Every wire transfer, every offshore shell company, every signature forged in a shaky hand. It all pointed to one thing. Walter Harrington was scrambling and he was desperate. I called Lennox. His voice came through tense, almost shaking. "He's trying to cover tracks faster than we can follow." "Then we need to hit the timeline sooner," I said. Toast, wedding, everything. But there was something gnawing at me, something personal. Riley. She still didn't understand the stakes. And the closer the wedding got, the less time there was before she became collateral. I tried reaching her. No answer. Text ignored. I knew she was scared. But scared of what? Me? Her fiancé? Her father? All of it? Finally, she showed up. Door swung open, hair tangled, eyes red from crying or sleepless nights. I couldn't tell. She came in, slammed her bag on the counter. "Clara, stop. You're tearing everything apart. You're hurting people." I let her speak, silent. Every word she said felt like a brick hitting me. "Riley, look at me," I finally said. "You don't know the half of it. Your wedding, your life. It's built on lies, on broken bones, and hidden debts. And if we don't stop it now, it'll collapse while you're standing there." She backed away. I can't believe this. Derek, he wouldn't let this happen." "Derek doesn't know," I said. "He's being lied to. He's being used. And your father, he's betting you never see the truth." Her fingers trembled over her necklace. "Then what do we do?" I didn't answer. I couldn't, because the final piece was the hardest. The evidence that would change everything. It wasn't just bank transfers or blueprints. It was proof of negligence that killed people and how it connected to the Harrington's empire. And now, To Riley. I dug through my desk drawers until I found it. The original approval documents. Hand-signed, stamped, the ink still faint but undeniable. Every corner told the same story. Cost-cutting, corner-cutting, lives sacrificed. And at the bottom, Walter's signature. I held it in my hand. Cold, heavy, like it carried the ghost of the past. That evening, Derek showed up unannounced. He didn't knock, didn't ask. He just stood in the doorway, eyes wide. "Clara, what's going on?" he asked, voice low. I handed him the folder, opened it, let him read, let him feel the weight of it. He ran a hand through his hair, pacing. "Why? Why didn't you tell me sooner?" "Because timing matters," I said, "and because if you'd known, you might have tried to save the wrong people." Riley walked in behind him, finally catching a glimpse of the evidence. Her eyes widened. She went pale. I can't. This is my family." Her voice cracked. I could hear the panic, the betrayal, the horror, and I knew, once she understood, nothing could stop the chain reaction. Outside, snow fell silently, but inside, the air felt like it was about to explode. Every heartbeat, every shallow breath, every glance exchanged carried the tension of a city about to collapse. I looked at the clock. 2 days until the wedding. 2 days until everyone would gather, oblivious, on hollow ground. And then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. One message. Just 3 words. "He knows everything." The room went silent. I felt it in my bones. The last thread was being pulled. And if we didn't move fast, everything we'd uncovered, the truth, the proof, Riley's future, would be buried under Harrington Live forever. The night before the wedding, the city was quiet. Snow muffled the streets. But inside the Harrington estate, every room buzzed with fake cheer and nervous energy. Guests arrived early, unaware that the foundation beneath their feet was shaky in more ways than one. I slipped inside to the service entrance, laptop and files hidden in a backpack. Derek followed, hesitant but determined. Riley stayed behind, too conflicted to face the truth just yet. "Clara, are you sure about this?" Derek whispered. "Once we touch this, there's no going back." I nodded. "Once we act, it's not just about revenge. It's about justice and stopping him before he buries anyone else." The ballroom shimmered with crystal chandeliers, golden candlelight, and soft music pretending nothing was wrong. But I didn't need the visuals. I could feel the tension under the polished floorboards, in the careful smiles, in Walter's too-tight suit. Walter Harrington was on the balcony, surveying the scene like a king. Every detail mattered to him. Every toast, every laugh, every whispered compliment. It was all control. And I knew the moment he realized that control was slipping, he'd lose it completely. We moved fast. Blueprints spread across the service table, highlighting every weak beam, every corner-cut decision, every section of floor that wasn't reinforced. Derek scanned the diagrams, disbelief and fear flickering across his face. "You really think this will hold?" he asked. I shook my head. "Not for long. But knowing is better than waiting." Then the first text came. Anonymous. Short. Cold. "Tonight, the floor answers for everything." My stomach dropped. This wasn't just a warning. It was a countdown. I glanced at the main ballroom from the kitchen hatch. Guests laughing. Bridesmaids adjusting dresses. Waiters balancing trays of champagne. All blissfully unaware that the foundation, both literal and metaphorical, was about to betray them. Derek stepped closer. "Clara, maybe we should call the authorities." I shook my head. "Not yet. If we go public too soon, he'll cover it up before anyone sees. Timing is everything." The night stretched, every minute a tightrope. And then I saw it. Walter Harrington approaching the service doors, his phone pressed to his ear, eyes scanning, calculating. He didn't know I was there. He didn't know Derek was there. He didn't know the ground itself could be our ally. I double-checked the final piece, an engineered flaw I could exploit to prove negligence without putting anyone at immediate risk. Enough to make a statement. Enough to freeze the Harringtons in panic. My phone buzzed. Another unknown number. Message. "He's moving the funds again. Tonight is everything." I exhaled slowly, try and stay calm. Derek placed a hand on my shoulder. Clara, this is bigger than us. I smiled grimly. Yeah, but someone has to do it. The service doors opened. Walter walked in, perfectly composed, smiling like a man untouchable, glass in hand, toast ready. The entire ballroom froze. And in that frozen moment, I realized it was more than just exposing him. It was about showing him that even empires built on shortcuts crumble, that even the richest man in the room can't control every variable. He raised his glass. To family, he said, voice smooth, almost syrupy. To legacy. I glanced at Derek. He nodded subtly. I slid my laptop open, ready to project the evidence in a controlled way. The moment had to be precise. One misstep, and everything would be lost. And then my phone buzzed again. Same unknown number. New message. He's watching the stage. Don't get caught. The ballroom's laughter rang louder, echoing off the walls like mockery. I felt it. The weight of every life, every lie, every corner-cut decision pressing down like the snow outside. The day was bright, almost cruel in its perfection. Sunlight spilled through the ballroom windows, glinting off the chandeliers like it was celebrating a lie. Every guest smiled. Every toast sparkled. Every step on the polished floor echoed in a world that didn't know it was about to crack. I slipped in quietly, laptop under my arm, Derek at my side. Riley hadn't yet arrived, and I knew it was for the best. She couldn't face the truth until the moment demanded it. Walter Harrington was at the head of the room, champagne raised, basking in the illusion of control. His son, Derek, pretended to laugh along, though I could see the tension in his jaw. He knew something was coming. He just didn't know how fast. I found the service entrance near the stage, set up the laptop, and projected the first images. Site reports, bank statements, forged signatures. Guests murmured, confusion rippling through the room. Some laughed nervously, thinking it was part of the entertainment. Then I clicked. The blueprints unfolded across the screen, highlighted beams, corners cut, supports missing. Each section labeled, each decision tied directly to Harrington's signature. The whispers grew into gasps. Walter froze. The perfect smile cracked. He stepped forward, voice tight, forced. Clara! This isn't the place. I cut him off, calm, sharp. No, Walter, this is the place. 2 decades of lies, corners cut, lives lost, and now it's all here. And your daughter-in-law doesn't even know she's standing on top of it. The room went silent. All eyes on us. Riley arrived just then, trailing behind bridesmaids. Her eyes went wide, scanning the projections. Recognition, horror, disbelief. She whispered, it can't be real. It's real, I said softly. Every last bit. Your family's foundation isn't just shaken, it's gone, and you're standing on it. Walter's face darkened. He tried to regain control, raising his hand to quiet the room. But no one moved, not a single person. He realized too late. Control isn't given, it's earned, and he had lost it long ago. I took a step closer. You think money hides the truth. You think legacy protects you. But all it does is make the fall louder. And then Riley stepped forward, finally seeing the documents, the evidence, the truth of the man she thought she knew. Her face hardened. This is why my parents... Yes, I said. Exactly why. Walter's laugh was thin, forced. You'll regret this. No, I said. You'll regret thinking you could fool everyone forever. At that moment, the countdown hit its climax. Not literally. The ballroom didn't collapse, but symbolically, the Harrington Empire did. Every lie, every corner cut, every life ignored flashed before the guests like a warning. Wealth does not equal safety. Power does not equal truth. Lawyers and journalists stormed in immediately after projection. My arrangements with Lennox had guaranteed it. Authorities moved quietly, efficiently, surrounding Walter. The room was chaos now, a hurricane built on revelations. Riley looked at me, trembling but determined. Clara, you saved me. You saved everyone from him. I nodded, exhausted but satisfied. We just finished what they started. And we didn't wait for the ground to collapse to see it. Walter Harrington was led away, his empire crumbling in real time, public exposure tearing through every corner of his life. Derek stayed behind, finally understanding both the man his father was, and the person he could be if he chose differently. Snow began falling outside, silent and pure, covering the chaos, almost as if nature itself was acknowledging justice had been done. I looked at Riley, her hand in mine. "It's over," I whispered. "For now," she said, eyes fierce. "But the world still needs people who notice the cracks." And I realized that's what we had become. The ones who notice. The ones who act. The ones who refuse to let lies stand. As the Harrington name faded from headlines and the ballroom emptied, one last notification pinged on my phone. Unknown number. Message. "This isn't over. Foundations always have secrets." I smiled faintly, closing my laptop. Some battles are won. Some never end. But for today, justice had the final word.